There's a number of Facebook ad mistakes that you definitely don't want to make. I know so many advertisers and small business owners who have lost their entire business, burned through cash, and got banned permanently. And in many cases, it was because of really simple mistakes that could have been avoided. So watch this all the way through. I don't want you to make any of these. Mistake number one is not putting in the necessary effort to reach success. So Facebook ads are incredibly challenging and take a whole bunch of work. I do meet with a lot of people who say, hey, let's just use existing photos. We don't need any fancy photo shoots. We don't need to spend a lot of time and resources on really creative videos, but also we want our ad sales to be $1 million this year. And those two things just don't connect. If you want crazy success with Facebook ads, you're gonna need to risk money, put in a ton of time and effort, run a crazy amount of tests, and be incredibly patient. Sometimes it works well to do photos or a simpler video to test out an angle or a way to frame the offer, and then to do a more creative, elaborate video once you've kind of proven that that's a good angle to take. Next mistake is thinking that you're too smart. So, I could say, hey, I've launched thousands of ads. I know what works. I know that this ad's gonna crush it. I know that this one's gonna do great. And this is a huge mistake. The most successful people on the platform don't have some golden touch where everything they launch magically works. They have a good sense of things that could work, but a really good system for testing things out, iterating on the process, knowing what to adjust, what to change, and what to do next. That's one of the biggest things that separates people raking in cash from Facebook versus people who are losing their savings. Another big mistake is only having narrow or small audiences. You always want to be testing a variety of audience sizes. If your audience is this small, you're gonna spend money to get in front of every single person that's in this audience. Whereas if it's a bit larger, Facebook is actually going to hunt through and actually try to find the people who are actually the most likely to make a purchase. So you always want to test. You can definitely have those narrow audiences in there and see how well they perform. But I always recommend having a variety of audiences and some that are a lot broader. And when you're trying to do really profitable, large-scale campaigns, having these larger audiences will let you actually scale that campaign and make more money. Whereas this one, you'll just run out of people, and even if it's performing well, you won't be able to fully leverage that performance into a larger campaign. Did you know that inside the like button is this good boy who would love for you to pat his head by clicking the like button? Another big mistake is not knowing how much you can spend to acquire a lead or a customer. If you don't know this number, it's all guesswork. With each campaign, we need an exact number. That way we can tweak things until we hit that performance. And then once we are even more profitable than that, we can actually put down more and more money and use the profits to scale a campaign bigger and bigger over time. But if there is no number, if you have no clue if you should be shooting for a customer for $50 or $30, there's really no way to actually be able to scale and run effective ads in the future. And the next mistake is not having a specific game plan in place. So a real world example, we said, hey, we're comfortable spending $100 to get a client. We're gonna spend $200 a day for 5 days. On day 3, we're gonna look at the results and maybe pause some that are absolutely tanking and increase the budget on some that are doing well. If all the results are horrible on day 3, we'll pause everything, go back to the drawing board, gather the data, and come up with another plan going forward. If it's doing incredibly well on day 3, at that point, we'll start to work on brand new ads and increase the spend on those. And at the end of the 5 days, we're gonna try to iterate on what's working and launch some effective new ads. I'm also able to communicate that with a client. So here's the numbers that we're trying to hit. Here's how we know if it's a success. If they're doing terrible, here's what we do and here's when we do it. If they're doing amazing, here's what we do and here's when we do it. Another mistake is thinking low budget equals the lowest risk. You may not lose as much money, but your chances of success are much lower. It's actually much harder to make money with a really small budget. I'm talking like $300, $500, even $1,000 is a fairly small budget. It's different if you say, hey, I'm comfortable losing $1,000. So you spend $1,000, you make back $600, you've lost $400, but you keep optimizing it until you get it to profitable. I see a lot of people come in, they spend so much time, they spend $300,
and you don't even know if the campaign worked because it didn't have enough time to test or give you legitimate results.
Next is not building any kind of email list. Now I get it. It is really discouraging when you have one person or 10 people on your list. It's hard to remember to email them all the time, and it feels like you're forever away from building up a substantial list, but we all have to start somewhere. As you're running ads, even if you're going for purchases, give people a really strong option to get on the list so they could get an exclusive discount if they give their email. Or even in the checkout process, you could have where people can opt in to receive different things and really sell them on why getting on the list is really, really beneficial to them. This could potentially generate revenue for the rest of your life if you're strategic enough. One big mistake you can make is you stop showing ads to people after they've bought.
What the heck am I talking about here? Why would you show ads to someone who's already purchased from you? They're already a customer. Why spend money to get in front of them? If it's something that people can buy over and over and over, if it's like a granola bar or something like that, the best possible person to buy that product is someone who's already bought. So you may want some different ads or some unique ads, but a lot of times people will do repeat purchases if they can, even for like concert tickets. When I was doing those, we'd see a lot of people come back and buy additional ones as well. If it's like a premium course where when they buy it, they're done, you don't need to show them a whole lot of ads. It's still beneficial to show some sort of thing like thanking them, getting some engagement. It can be a great source for like testimonials, or even if it's the same ad they initially saw, a lot of times people who purchase will share with others about the purchase or talk about how great it is.
The next is relying too heavily on Facebook ads. Whether you're a business owner or a marketer, what would happen if you got banned from Facebook permanently tomorrow? If the answer is you'd go bankrupt or your business would go under, you need to start making some changes immediately. There's Google, Amazon, Snapchat, TikTok, Parler, Rumble, actually doing ads through Hulu, working directly with brand partners, finding influencers or affiliates to promote you, actually advertising directly on people's websites, going directly to them, getting shout outs in an email list. All these platforms are really overwhelming, but just pick one that you think could be really good and put an additional 20% of your advertising into that platform. So if you're 100% on Facebook now, do 20% and put it toward that new thing to do some tests and see if you can get those numbers to work. As an advertiser, I'm at risk too, so I'm starting to branch out on other platforms. Another big mistake is spending too much time focusing on cost per click, click-through rate, and cost per impression.
These metrics do matter, but the actual amount of profit you're bringing in and cost to get someone to actually make a purchase are so much more important. So I'm always testing the performance of different ads, different headlines, different landing pages, things like that. And studying these, you can see where something's falling apart or not working, but you don't always want a super low cost per click. So Facebook is an auction, so you're paying money to get in front of certain people. So there's people who are like likely to buy, somewhat likely. There's people who click on a lot of stuff, but they never actually buy stuff. I've seen many times low cost per clicks that perform very poorly, especially like if you're optimizing for really low link clicks. It's gonna target people who are not likely to buy because they're cheaper to get in front of because they don't buy.
Next mistake is expecting Facebook to make your company work. So let's say you don't have sales or customers, but you're just saying, hey, let's turn on ads, let's get a flood of sales going, let's go from 0 to 100 really, really quickly. And most of the time, it just doesn't work like that. Facebook will help you test out an offer, learn what works and mostly what doesn't work, and gather some really, really valuable data. But the chances of being this smashing $1 million success right out of the gate is just very, very low. If you're just getting started, only put in money that you're willing to lose, because I've seen so many people who spend $3,000 and get $0 of sales. It's not that uncommon. Another huge mistake is changing a campaign that's already working. If it has campaign budget optimization or CBO, don't touch anything. And if it's optimized at the ad set level, don't touch the ad sets that are doing well.
The only thing that I'm gonna do is gradually turn up the spend or turn down the spend depending on its performance. You constantly want to be actually testing different audiences and different ads, but I will do a brand new campaign or series of campaigns to test that. Because if you're just throwing in new ads, it really messes with the performance and things like that. And then often I like taking from all these tests and things like that, rolling this into like an even larger campaign with a bigger budget.
Next mistake is having unrealistic expectations. So many people have seen ads where they say, hey, you can get 5 times return on ad spend, 4 times, you know, if you're just getting started, you'll get 3 times return on ad spend. This often just doesn't pan out. You know, under a 1 times return on ad spend is not uncommon, especially if it's a new product and you're just getting started. You can't just look at someone else's results and assume that you'll be able to do the exact same thing. Facebook is also getting way more competitive. iOS 14 wrecked a lot of things. So do build out that game plan and run tests, but just know no results are guaranteed. They could come in really, really poor, and you may never be able to hit a 3 times return on ad spend. There's always crappy days on Facebook, but if you go in with the right mindset and expectations, you'll have a much higher chance of being successful long term. Next up, we have not instantly grabbing people's attention. People are scrolling so fast that you got 1 to 2 seconds to really hook them in. So it could be a really compelling question, building up curiosity about something, having really unique and strange images. I actually did a full video on some really creative ways to grab people's attention, turn that into interest in your product, and then people actually making the purchase. So you definitely want to click on that video over there. That's one you definitely don't want to miss if you want to generate a lot more leads and sales with Facebook ads.